Did you know what DeepSeek was before 12 or 18 hours ago?
I did, yes. And
so what did you know about them 2 days ago?
That it is a competitor in the LLM space. They've been training their own model,
Right.
and it's used mostly in the East Asian region.
Okay, what I learned, thank you Zero Hedge for this, from Morgan Brown at Dropbox, is basically they've said, we're not going to be as perfect, as pristine as the others, out to 32 decimal points. We're just going to get it done out to 0.0000008 decimal points. Is that what this is all about? Is they're not going to be perfect?
I think there's more to it than just, using the fewer floating point operations than OpenAI and Anthropic and others. And look, in this case, they basically focused on hardware efficiency. Using the hardware in the most efficient fashion. They had the benefit of all these LLMs being out there. They use Meta Llama as a reference point. It's another open source model. And they figured out a way to do this most efficiently than everyone else. I mean, everyone is focused on scale right now. They focused on hardware efficiency.
Paul, the llama at Meta, at Facebook, is the grandson of the original llama on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, there you go. All right, very good. Mandeep, you've got an analyst, Bloomberg Intelligence, in Hong Kong, Robert Lia. I'm reading his research literally as we speak. And for folks on the Bloomberg terminal, go to BI Go and check out, if you need to figure out what's going on with DeepSeek and what China's doing with AI, Bloomberg Intelligence has got the data and the research there. Can China support a real competitive AI environment? It seems like their government is more restricting some of the technology there.
Well, so now we know the export controls probably weren't as effective as they were supposed to be here, in terms of restricting the access to Nvidia latest chips. And some people are saying they did use, the latest H100 chips, albeit they were not of the same scale as were available to OpenAI and the others. But look, we don't know the extent of the hardware that was used for training. All I can say, based on this, the fact that they have a comparable model in performance to the others, it shows that they clearly have a combination of algorithms and compute to compete with the others.
Let's do the financials. Are the revenue growth models that you and BI have of all these fancy AI people, are they now at risk?
Absolutely. I mean, look at OpenAI's O1 Pro model. They're charging $200 per month because it's the best model they have to offer. The fact that you have an open source model that is comparable to the model that OpenAI is charging.
Comparable? You're saying it's comparable.
I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, look at the benchmarks. And that's why, all these models have common benchmarks. This is within 1 to 2 percentage points of that benchmark.
Well, I know you don't do buy, hold, sell, but are we going to sell here? Are we going to see Wall Street put a sell on Nvidia? Can you predict that?
I mean, right now, the fact that Meta raised their capex on Friday, to me, earnings season is where we will find out what all these companies end up doing. So, all this has happened in the last 48 hours where Meta raised their capex, DeepSeek came out, it's suddenly everyone is going crazy.
Yeah, Paul, the president lined up with the son of Japan to do a ginormous tech deal as well. You okay over there? Are you looking at your betting pool?
I'm doing social here.
You're doing social?
Yeah.
Oh, my word, Lisa.
I'm doing that out.
The social pulse.
I'm saying take a look at that. So, Mandeep, what do we do here? As we think about AI, it's obviously from technology perspective, it has been the story for the last 2 years at least. How do you think about it now? Has anything changed in the last 24 hours for you?
A lot of software companies will feel, they can do their own AI now and not having to rely on the big hyperscalers. Because the narrative was, if you can't spend upfront on capex, then you don't have a play when it comes to the foundational model layer. And so suddenly everyone feels empowered that they can do their own AI with this development.
I see Nvidia, Broadcom, some of these big chip makers that have had such a huge run on the upside. They're down 10, 11, 12% here today. Is that realistic? Does that seem reasonable to you?
I mean, with semi companies, we know the risk is always that cyclical element.
Yep.
And if we are calling that this is the top of the cycle in terms of semi demand and estimates aren't going up anymore, then you will see this sort of stock reaction. But I go back to my point about Meta raising their capex.
Right.
Project Stargate adding
All right, so
100
let's go to
billion.
that. We haven't talked to you about that. 50 billion.
Yeah.
Like they were Meta capex was 25 billion in 2019. Then it was 50 billion for this year. Now they're saying they're going to 65. I feel like it when I look at those numbers, it feels like drunken sailor time. Did they have a real strategy behind that spending, or are they just saying we need to be in this game, we need to spend whatever we need to spend? Typical Meta type of spending.
Yeah, and I think there is that aspect where you want to be that front-end player when it comes to the LLMs. But in the case of Meta, the challenge, in addition to the fact that DeepSeek model is out there, is they don't have a cloud business. You look at Microsoft, you look at Amazon, you look at Google. They have a cloud business to monetize those GPUs. Even if, let's say, DeepSeek came up with a better model, Microsoft can use that capacity for inferencing on the cloud.
Right.
They can generate cloud revenue.
We're this Mandeep Singh, folks, at Bloomberg Intelligence. Anurag Rana in the 9 o'clock. Saritha Ray from Bangalore is well on this news here with the NASDAQ down 4%. The VIX out to 21.57. And to be clear here, you don't see the trauma
I didn't see that, Tom.
in the
VIX?
Dow Jones. Yeah, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down only 1%. We're going to be duplicative here. We're going to go over this in the 8, go over it in the 9 as well. Mandeep, what are the meetings like in Silicon Valley now? I mean, these guys never get up before 9 a.m. But today they're going to get up at 6 a.m. their time. They're going to be rocking 9 a.m. surveillance time. What are the meetings going to be like at Google? What's a meeting going to be like for Zuckerberg?
Well, so I think, again, given these companies are reporting earnings next week, right now they have to figure out what is it that they relay to the investors in terms of the scaling laws. Like up until now, the biggest debate was, will the scaling laws hold in 2025? And based on this development, I mean, we don't need to talk about scaling laws.
Do they replicate what DeepSeek is doing?
Absolutely. I think they will use some of the innovations that DeepSeek has showed in their paper, and given they have open sourced it, my bet is everyone cares about hardware efficiency. Even if Microsoft is spending $80 billion on AI capex, they want to use that capex efficiently.
The smartest thing I've heard is from the technologist, Paul Sweeney. Your TED Talk on this.
Right,
Your
exactly.
TED Talk. You almost wore a tie to your TED Talk.
Exactly.
They're drunken sailors. I mean, that's the smartest thing I've heard.
No.
Do you see capex responsibility?
No, I think, to my mind, all this capex can be used, for the future, and it's quite fungible. It's not like laying a fiber network and, it's going to go waste. Compute is always used in some form. Now, yes, they may have overpaid for the GPUs. You could argue, hey, was it worth paying $30,000 for a GPU? Probably not, but still, this compute is still useful.
Mandeep Singh with us, folks. We're going to go around equities, bonds, currencies, commodities. Again, we're off 4%. No, sit down. You're not done yet.
Yeah, where are you going?
Where are you going? I mean,
Get you for 2 segments.
You should see he has an English breakfast on Monday. He's like,
I
it's
know.
a cute kind of thing. The bond market yields in big time, which you'd expect here. The Sweeney yield 4.18% in 9 basis points. The 10-year yield in 11 basis points. First thing I looked at, the real yield crushes in 10 basis points from a 2.20 to 2.10. Some of the angst there in the market. And what I look at, and it's not a good number yet, but the VIX 21.54. Not 30, but from 15 to 21, that gets your attention. Paul?
Mandeep, is the concern here the DeepSeek product could be as good an AI solution as what some of the Western companies are providing, but at a lower cost? Is that the bottom line here?
Yeah, look at the app stores. DeepSeek is the top app right now here in the US, and everyone is using it. Comparable to ChatGPT.
No, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is important.
Yeah.
Lisa Mateo's not using it. Tom Keene is not using it. An adult like you or Joe Weisenthal, who's knee deep into this stuff. Good morning, Joe. Joe's not up yet. Okay. Joe Weisenthal is going to bring up DeepSeek and bring up ChatGPT of one of the different managed levels. Can you tell the difference?
Look, there is an element of personalization that these apps provide when it comes to asking the type of questions you're asking. But if you have a generic query, DeepSeek is going to give you an answer that's comparable to ChatGPT.
I'm looking, Tom, and Mandeep just mentioned
don't
it.
Tell me, you're on DeepSeek?
No, I Googled the top apps. Number 1, DeepSeek. Number 2, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
And number 3, Paramount Plus for Landman and for Yellowstone. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we had a Landman weekend at home. I said Sweeney's like knee deep into this.
Number 7, Fox Sports.
Yeah. You know,
so he's
get
right.
one more in here. One more in here because Mandeep's coming back at 8.
What do you need, or what do you think you're going to hear from some of these technology companies next week as they talk about China, as they talk about this, what is it, DeepSeek thing?
Yeah, I mean, the whole aspect around capex and scaling laws and what to do with the latest GPUs. Are you spending more on training or inferencing? Everything is on the table in terms of hardware efficiency now.
I have no idea what inference is. We inference that you're coming back at 8 o'clock, and this will be duplicative this morning. A clinic with Mandeep Singh of Bloomberg Intelligence. Thanks to our team working all night on this as this blew up in the
And thanks for
evening
Mandeep coming in
hours.
early. I mean,
the Kansas City Chiefs won because they have DeepSeek.